Hey, everybody, and welcome to the ComaCast. It is June 4th, 2021. We thank all of you for joining us for another show. We do this every Friday at 5 o'clock. If you're watching the replay, you can tune in live on Fridays at 5. But again, thank all of you who are here and who are joining us on this Friday. It's the first week of Pride Month. Matt, how are you? I see your shirt. So cute.
Yay!
How are you doing?
It's amazing. That's it.
So let's see. Today, of course, I've been busy working on some different projects. I finally finished one of them, um, and I posted that up. Hey, Chris. Chris says, "Hey, how are you doing? How was your week? How was your work week?" Um, Yeah, so I finished one of my projects that I'm going to start doing. I'm going to start releasing them every Friday on my pages. But then just been working around the house. It's been really nice. So I've been able to get a lot of things accomplished in the backyard, getting it all set and ready for the summer. Uh, I actually had, basically, it's turning into exactly what I wanted. So I'm really excited that it's finally, after all these years, coming together, I guess. Um, so, of course, Pride Week coming, Pride Month, lots of Pride stuff happening. I had sent this to Matt the other day, talking about Pride Month and what San Diego actually was doing, and they actually had a flag put up. They flew four flags over the San Diego Unified School District headquarters. One of the sophomores, Chelsea Long, says it's not enough, but it's a first step. Uh, and for all of June, they're going to have those flags up. Of course, they have the newest Pride flag, which has the brown black stripes on them. So I thought that was so cool when I actually had seen that, and I sent that to Matt. I think like growing up, it would always be like a great thing when you're young to see something like that, especially from your school district, to know that you're not alone and that there are people there who are supporting you.
I'm I'm still trying to wrap my head around this next one. like
What
I'm
about
still
it?
like it's kind of, this next one is kind of like the ones that everyone knows but nobody talks about, and so whenever we talk about it or the subject comes up, it's like everyone's just kind of ooh about it. Olympians will get free condoms at Tokyo Games, but they can't use them. Wow. It turns out maybe we're the heteros are just like us. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Make safe decisions, guys. The Tokyo Games will test athletes' resolve and discipline in more ways than one. uh, as organizers has advised them against using the 160,000 free condoms provided in the Olympic Village. Each athlete will get about 14 condoms. The IOC says our intent and goal is not for athletes to use the condoms at the Olympic Village, but to help with awareness by taking them back to their own countries. And so instead of using them, they're hoping they'll take them back to their home countries as souvenirs. And God damn, I hate stupid people. Athletes are also only permitted to leave the Olympic Village under special circumstances. Violations of the rules could lead to penalties. Yes, because a whole village full of Olympic trained athletes need to leave the village to get laid when they're surrounded by. I mean,
Yeah.
does the word buffet to each other, like, does that even, like, is that even the right word? Good Lord. Like, oh, but you can't use these. Okay. Condom handouts to Olympians have been tradition since the 1988 Summer Olympics in Seoul, South Korea, as an AIDS epidemic swept across the world and never stopped. Um, but I just every time this subject comes up, every time the Olympics comes up, this always gets whispered somewhere, and people talk about it, or they talk about, it goes between the conversation of being sex positive and saying, hey, adults are Olympians are adults too, and obviously some of them are minors, and yeah, different things need to be done for them to make sure that they're not exposed to certain things. But consenting adults are allowed to have sex with each other, and pretending going on the, like, of course you always see the articles about slut shaming them and saying like that. It's like, huh.
Yeah. I mean, I think it'll be interesting this year. I think the reason overall that they're, wanting people not to use them, even though it's like you're giving someone something to not use, and that they're going to take them back for souvenirs, which I thought was just hilarious.
Fucking
But
stupid.
um, is coronavirus is really bad in Japan right now, actually, and there's been a lot of calls for the Olympics to be canceled or postponed once again. And so I think this is part of that push. I think it's going to be up to each individual countries. Also, I've been hearing and seeing some things where they may like have their individual athletes within their country and they can't leave their country's house or uh, apartments where they're at. And so that'll be interesting to see, like it's just going to be less freedom for them overall. It'll be interesting to see if they go forward, of course, with the Olympics. There's a lot of drama with that, and that Japan can't cancel the Olympics. Otherwise, they're going to get penalized and they're going to have to pay fines by the International Olympic Committee. And the IOC is the only one who can actually cancel the Olympics. And at this point, they are unwilling to do that because of money and money. But yeah, I was like, yeah, you're going to give them condoms, but they're not going to use them, and you want them to take them home
Right.
as
Like
souvenirs.
there's a limit here. Like stop trying to there is a limit. Put up your recommendations, put up your requests, but trying to tell adults what to do in that way is just like stop.
Yeah.
Just fucking stop. Like
Yeah. I mean, it's not like they're going to listen to that anyway. But Keith says hi from LA Fitness. Hi, Keith. Getting the exercise on. I need to do that. I said I was going to start doing it, and I have yet to start.
I will probably be. I took last night off because it poured all day yesterday, and I just didn't feel like doing anything, and I was just kind of sore, like mind, body, and soul. So I was like, I think I'm gonna sleep. So I slept. I probably slept 10 or 11 hours yesterday, and then
Oh, wow.
yeah, I know. And then here we are today. So I'm like, all right, back to it. Like eating. Obviously, we're closing in on almost a full month of eating healthy again and being healthy again, and it's like I've dropped a few pounds and my skin looks better. Damn it. It's like the science, and it's like, yes, this is working, this is good. And you're like, I just want cinnamon rolls, damn it.
Well, and donuts, because today was National
Shut
Donut
your
Day.
whore mouth, Cody. I do not want to hear the D word on this conversation. I am hungry. I want donuts. I wanted them for days.
I was going to go get some today, and then I
But
didn't
here
go,
I
and then it
am
was too
eating my
late.
goddamn oatmeal with healthy fresh berries chopped into them every day. Ugh, I'm furious. Honestly, I really like oatmeal. It's just one of those things like, man, I really want donuts, but I'm also not 22 anymore and I can't eat both anymore. So I'm going to have to pick one. And then, of course, the doctor's like, hey, you got some like issues there on your metabolic panel. You might want to like eat better. Damn it. Okay, fine.
Oh, yeah. I actually, instead of eating donuts, I've been eating cookies. I don't know if you've ever heard of it. They're in a few places. I think they're kind of like getting big, like sprinkles, but it's crumble cookies.
I have
And
not.
they basically, it's like a huge cookie. It's pretty big. They ice it right then and there for you. They have like cold cookies, like chilled cookies, like sugar cookies, and then they have warm cookies. Now, each week they have 4 different cookies. They introduce 4 different cookies that rotate. They always have chocolate chip and they always have sugar cookie, but the other 4 is rotating. And I went for the first time, and oh my God, it's going to be hard not to go back because, first of all, the cookies are really, really good. And like, I loved that it's a different 4 flavors each week. So it's like something new. It is something to draw you in and make you want to go each time. But this time they had chocolate chip and oatmeal, some kind of like.
I love chocolate chip, but I hate oatmeal cookies.
Really?
Like, so I love oatmeal, but I despise oatmeal cookies. I just think they're gross.
I make
Like
an oatmeal
how
cookie with cranberries.
oh,
Um, but so they had that one. They had like a strawberry shortcake one, and then a peanut butter chocolate.
so
Oh, so good.
besides, so I do love chocolate chip, but my favorite one is and they're actually from Subway. The Subway cookies, the peanut butter cookies are so good. Like a fresh, just slightly chewy, not chewy, but just slightly soft peanut butter cookie. Oh, oh, or sometimes the strawberry cheesecake cookies. Oh, God, um, delicious. I used to when I used to work for an urgent care that was in the same strip mall as by strip mall I mean there was 4 stores, and
Hmm.
one of them was a Subway. So I walked to the other end and paid $5 for a dozen of them and just bring them back. And I would always offer them to everybody. They're like, "What? Why?" Like, I've never worked in an office where everybody wasn't hungry all the time. So just stop lying to me and eat the damn cookie. I did tell one person, because you've been yelling at all of us all day and I'm tired of it, eat the damn cookie. Or stop yelling. I don't care. You get to pick one, though. Choices.
uh, Keith says, watching you guys from the treadmill, please make the time go by fast.
Well,
Oh,
this. So I
oh.
did something literally right before I was doing the dishes earlier, and I was putting a Pyrex uh, thing into the dishwasher, and it slipped out of my hands and landed right in the dishwasher where all the plates and bowls had already been put in. And I shattered one of them, like destroyed it. It landed right on it. Now the Pyrex piece survived, but this like plate bowl thing, I don't know the official name for it. It looks like a cross between a plate and a bowl. And they're David's favorites. Shattered it everywhere, all over the inside of the dishwasher. Luckily, it was in clean breaks, but it was a lot of it.
Yeah.
The good thing was I missed my glass water bottle, which David just replaced yesterday. It landed right next to it because I broke the second one. The first one I broke a few months ago, shattered it all over the bathroom. I was reaching for something. I was getting ready to take a shower or a bath, and I had a migraine. And if you've ever had a migraine, you know how hard it is to function. And it was at the point where I could hardly see. And I reached for something, and I guess my hand hit and the lights were on too. This is the worst part. I didn't even like turn the water on yet. And
Mhm.
it was full of water too, because I was getting ready to take a shower or a bath or whatever. And I hit it, shattered it across the entire bathroom. I mean, there was glass. I was finding glass for weeks. David came in, tried to help me clean it up. He told me to get out of the bathroom. So a couple days later, and got me a new glass water bottle, and it even has like the rubber coating around it to protect it. And then, oh my gosh, I set the second one. Now I've had the second one for a couple months, and it was sitting in the sink to get ready. I was gonna put it through the dishwasher, and I guess I bumped it and knocked it over, and the top lip of it, like the top part where you drink out of, fell and hit the divider between this left and right side of the sink. It didn't shatter it, but it cracked it from the inside. It's like
Mm.
really thick glass, so it's cracked from the inside and spreading down and slowly leaking. I'm like, so today when I dropped the Pyrex thing, I mean, I missed my water bottle by like an inch. And David watched this whole thing happen. He goes, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "Yes, but crap." I could just see like glass everywhere, and I'm like, "Come on."
At least your water bottle survived,
I
though.
hate that water bottle though.
You do.
Like, we went to replace it yesterday, so my Starbucks trips have been reduced to like one a week because my waist and health. And so standing in line, and I thought, I don't even need to tell David to get a different one because they were almost out of stock last time. So I thought, oh, end of the life cycle. It's whatever, you know. And so we get to the card, and I'm like, oh, David, which one did you grab? He goes, oh yeah, they had plenty of the ones that of the one that you have in light. Like, he's like, why didn't you say something? Because I didn't think they would still have it. Like, fuck. And then he goes, I thought about getting 2 or 3 so we could rotate around. I'm like, oh, thank God.
Oh my goodness. You would have had to return them.
No, I would have kept it because I'm being a princess right now. I recognize that. Because we use those water bottles all the time. I I drink so much more water per day because I don't have to, worry about my glass getting bumped or spilled or whatever. They are pretty durable, except apparently when I own them. But
Chris says, I know how clumsy I am, so it's basically plastic cups and plates around my house. LOL. I have broken 2 plates, and the, I think what happens is I'm pulling them out of the sink, and then I'm going to put them in the dishwasher, and I clip the counter, and then
oh,
I chip them. I haven't fully broken them, but I chipped 2 plates, and then you really can't use them at that point. And then we tried fixing them, and then I didn't like the way it looked because you could see it, and I was like, whatever. So that we don't have, we're like short. We have like 4 plates now, and so we're always going through having to wash plates. It's like Chris also says, and the metal tumblers that keep things cold forever. Yes, so that's basically all we have. We have like the Yetis, and then we also have the Yeti type ones that go. They're a little bit taller and a little bit bigger than this size. Basically, almost can hold a Trenta size drink, but they fit perfectly in the cup holders because
is
they
that
have a
gay math? Like you measure it,
right.
you
Yeah, it
measure it in
is.
Starbucks sizes.
It has a skinny base so that you can have 2 side by side in the cup holders. But
You see, the base is skinnier than Mariah, but you'll notice that it holds a full Trinta.
you, we haven't gone to Starbucks as much anymore because now we like have the espresso machine, so we make our own coffee. I make my own tea. We have green tea, the green tea they have at Starbucks. So we basically make everything. So unless we're just randomly out and randomly didn't bring our drink, we'll stop and get something. Although last time we stopped to get something, Justin gets Splenda in his green tea, and they were like, "We don't have any Splenda. We have Sweet and Low, and we have something else." And it was like,
Oh God,
"No,
I'm not gonna survive at your house.
why?"
Even when I go to IHOP, they're like, "Do you want like Splenda?" Like regular sugar is fine. Like, and people get me like I promise I don't.
Well, we do have regular sugar. You'll be fine.
Yay!
We have regular sugar. We have pure
Am
cane
I
rock
weird that
sugar.
sweet low is disgusting?
Well, I do not like. Well, okay, I I don't like any of it. Yeah, correct. I don't like sweet and low. I don't like Splenda. I don't like any of it.
I think
Like some.
Splenda's disgusting. I dated a guy who, if he drank hot tea, he had exactly one Splenda. I literally kept it in the house for him. Does not know how much I cared. Wow. But like it'd be like a little slice, squeeze a lemon, especially for like a sore throat, and one Splenda, and I was like,
Sometimes the when we were getting it, they would get mixed up, or like I wouldn't see, and I would like take a drink, and I'd be like, ugh! I would not be expecting it because okay, first
yeah,
of
you have
all,
to prepare. It's disgusting.
I mean, in general, it would be different because I get a green tea, no water, sub apple juice with sweetener. So it's a very sweet drink. So, expecting something like that, and then you get a plain green tea within the Splenda. No, nope, can't do it. I was, Starbucks are out of a lot of things right now, a lot of food items. I saw this one girl on TikTok. She was like, "Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and say this. I'm gonna be done with Starbucks like in 2 weeks anyway, so I can say this. It's fine, whatever." She works there. She was like, "We're about to be out of a lot of stuff. Everybody prepare." Like they've been out in a lot of places out of oat milk, and they're getting rid of like a diet cinnamon dolce syrup. And then there's just like a lot of products, and most all of their food products they're going to be out of because the supply chain's messed up. And she was like, basically, when you come, just be prepared to get basically black coffee at a certain point because we're going to start running out of syrups or different things to make drinks. A lot of their new fruit like drinks that they make, apparently they're just not going to have because the supply chain's all messed up.
I mean, what do you do? The
Yeah.
last year and a half has been devastating for these things.
Yeah, for sure. Because I went to Lush the other day, and it's a little bit better. I went this week. It was a little bit better this week, but we had gone to the mall like 2 or 3 weeks ago. The store was literally empty. There was literally nothing in the store. Like I guess it was open. I don't know what you're supposed to do. Their employees were still there, but I guess they were just keeping the employees employed, but to stand around and do nothing because there was zero product, and the store is pretty big. It was like, okay.
We had a a fossil store that was empty. Like somebody literally smashed the windows, backed up a truck, and in minutes they cleaned out the store. It was in Hagerstown, Maryland, at an Outlets, and within minutes, I mean, emptied the entire store, the cases, and the employees were like, "Oh, you know, like there was literally nothing they could do for days before they got it replenished." And I keep moving my shirt around because I'm used to clothes being big on me, and now they're not anymore. And so my shirt is like borderline too small. So I'm like, oh my god, I'm about to like cut the neck and make my own V. I did this to myself before, and I thought, oh, it was a specialty shirt for St. Patrick's Day, and I'm like dying here. And I also kind of hurt in places for being active again.
I need to be active. I was telling Matt the other day we were recording this week, and I like had pulled something here, but my pull is because I was like lifting like something that shouldn't have messed me up, but it's because I literally have not been exercising. My body is just
Yeah,
completely weak.
that's kind of what happened to me. It really hit the last 2 or 3 months. The first week back, I always lower the weight whenever I've been gone for a bit, but this was different. This was like not just, oh, let me get my body used to these motions again. There's a real weakness. Like it was like, oh wow, I really can't pick this up. I can't support my own body weight. Um, you know.
Yeah. I'm going to try to start exercising soon, hopefully. I think it's going to be I feel like soon I'll be comfortable probably going back to the gym. We'll see. We'll see what happens. I'm getting a little bit more comfortable. We actually out here, I just got a notification this afternoon that we're having like a 1% positive rate. So that's like extremely good. So I think the summer's looking good. I actually got tickets to see Alanis Morissette and Garbage in September. So that's going
I
to be
heard
fun.
that show. Was it her that I thought she was a no, it's not her that's the Trump supporter. It was Meredith Brooks, I believe.
Uh, I don't know.
She's the one that sang that song "Bitch" from like 1996. That just like
Okay.
was
Okay. I
and
was
her
actually
that's a
telling
Trump supporter. So
uh,
it was like,
we wouldn't
really,
want to
you
see that.
know?
I don't know a lot of these groups or bands, and it's really bad. But like, I didn't really know who. I told Justin. I was asking Justin about it, and I was like, "What do you think? Do you want to go? Whatever, whatever." And I was like, "I don't really know who Garbage is," and he was like, "Yeah, you do." And then he told me some songs, and I was like, "Oh, okay, fine, yeah, I do."
Yeah, I never discuss music with David because he literally doesn't. But then he'll randomly make the most obscure musical reference. I'm like, and then if I don't know it, he's like, "Well, how do you not know that?" I'm like, what? Who would know that? How did you know that?
Yeah. Um, well, Matt, we have a sponsor of this show each week.
Yes. And oh god, we had a hell of a time recording this week. You guys should really see it sometimes when we're recording and something throws one of us and it's like, oh. Yeah, so it's mobile health.
It's gonna be like me and
Oh
I
god,
didn't.
my
It's not included in the podcast, but I couldn't
no.
say rule.
Oh god, I didn't think you know, when so we were talking about something and the word rural was used, and Cody cannot say it, whether it's his accent or just like that's just his stop. That is his boundary. When we left recording the other day, David told me in the car we were on the way to get food, and he goes, "If I had to hear the word rural one more time, I was going to come in there and kill you." I'm like, "Jeez," and we must have tried to say it 30 or 40 times between us. But anyway, this episode of the live is sponsored by Mobile Healthcare. It is a concierge healthcare service out of Denver, ran by Dr. Jake Weinstein. You can check out. We'll tag him in this, but it's on Twitter. It's Mobile Healthcare D, I believe, is the handle. And through it, you can. It's if you've ever done like telehealth or teledoc. Think of it like that, but also Dr. Jake can come to you, to your work, to your home, and for things like LGBT health, especially. He is a gay man, and so you can talk to him very openly, and he encourages it to help you make a plan. So, do you go to a fisting party and have a 30-person orgy? Awesome. Talk to Dr. Jake and just make sure you're feeling good and everything is good. Do you need hormone replacement therapy or want to look into it? Dr. Jake can do that for you too. He can get your lab set up. He can also even come to your work and home. And I know that the entire website works on your phone, even if you don't even you can't download the app. But if you just use it from your phone, just the mobile, I went through mobile and I went through every single link and page myself to make sure the whole thing worked, right down to the contact us.
Wow, Matt.
Yeah. And also, Jake and I have been friends since I was a teenager. No, 23. I met him when I was 23. Sorry, almost a teenager. I still got mistaken for a teenager at that time. But I've known him a very long time. He's a wonderful guy, and he's very approachable and very kind. And being able to work with an LGBTQ provider is very important to us. So, especially if you live in the Denver area, this is a great service that you can use. You can send him a DM. You can go through the website, go through the contact us, do a referral, and just if you have questions, you can also talk to Dr. Jake. And if you're not comfortable, just DM me or Cody, and we will get you in contact with him. He's super great, and like I said, his name is Dr. Jake Weinstein. He is a DNP. I've known him since he was a paramedic, like way back in the day, because he's ascended the ranks and yeah. So, but again, this episode is sponsored by him, and right now our lives on Fridays are sponsored by him, and we're super happy to work with him. So thank you guys. Check that out. And if you're not comfortable approaching him and you're still kind of nervous and shy and just kind of lurking around, send me a DM. I will help you get into contact with him.
Yeah, and we'll post those links up on the Twitter page.
Absolutely.
So we were talking about earlier this week the word that I'm not going to say, but living in a place where there's lots of land and space. Well, maybe that's not a good thing sometimes, depending on where you are, because, well, I guess it can happen anywhere. It happens a lot in Florida, but there's been a massive sinkhole that threatens a house in the Mexico state of Puebla. The sinkhole continues to grow at a threatening rate to swallow a home near the Mexico's capital. You can see the house is right there. The backyard's about to be taken over. The crater appeared Saturday, is filled with water. The town is about 80 miles south of Mexico City. The hole began at just over 5 yards wide, but since ballooned to 75 yards wide, spectators have been gathering at the area. Police have now been forced to put up barricades to keep people away from the sinkhole. I feel like when I've been in Florida, like early on, and I would be like at Disney and they would be starting, like it would be on the news about a sinkhole, I'd be like, oh my God. I think one time I was there, a sinkhole swallowed up part of a hotel. And I was like, oh my goodness. So sinkholes scare me. Like they can just pop up at random.
That is true. Yeah. You know how sometimes we do stories and sometimes they're like, they kind of flow, and other times it's like, this is weird. So Cody and I find stuff and we talk to each other throughout the week, like, oh, I want to talk about this, and I have issues with the app we use. Like for some reason, it is just not Matt friendly. It is very user friendly, just some reason me. So I usually will let Cody know what I want to talk about, but I don't always know what Cody wants to talk about till we get here. So if you ever see me start in on something and I start giggling, it's because it just catches me off guard. But United Airlines is buying a new line of Concorde-like supersonic jets. United Airlines has announced plans to buy a small fleet of supersonic passenger jets, which will be capable of making long-distance flights in half the regular time. That is awesome. The aircraft is expected to travel at speeds of Mach 1.7, which would allow it to fly from New York City to London in roughly 3.5 hours. Boom says the jets will be net zero carbon aircraft and that they will fly on sustainable aviation fuel that is derived from organic matter, and they should be flying by 2029.
I thought this was crazy. Obviously, back in the day, there was the Concorde, if y'all remember, and it wasn't around long much for like our lives, I guess. Early on it was, and then there was an accident, and then they stopped flying. It would usually fly from New York to England, and then I think England to Paris. And after the accident, they just felt it was too expensive to run, and then they scrapped the whole thing. But I think this is so exciting that United has been joining in on this, that it's going to be flying potentially by 2029. Like, it takes, in Texas, sometimes 4 or 5 hours to get just from a central part of Texas to like Dallas or
Anywhere,
something.
like literally anywhere.
This,
I
you're going
know.
to go from New York to London in 3.5 hours. Like, what?
That would
It's
be
crazy.
half the reason I think a lot of people avoid travel, myself included, is how damn long it takes, even with a plane. And I mean, nobody wants to spend that long crowded with a bunch of people. And also, travel is a pain in the ass. Getting through an airport, TSA has just the power trip that they live on. I'm like, ugh, it's gross. We went through the Denver airport a few years ago, and I could go the rest of my life with never dealing with that again. Like, honestly, I could literally live without never setting foot in the Denver airport ever again. It was very scenic, and everything else was awful. But that's like honestly most airports. They're just awful places. Like
Yeah. Um, well, I think, flying from San Diego to Dallas takes me about 2.5 hours. Like, thinking that I could go that far in 3.5 is crazy. They're also going to be going from, I believe, San Francisco to like Japan, also in around the same amount of time. So both coasts will get to benefit from this. I think this is really exciting. We'll see what those prices are going to be too. The prices could be ridiculous, but I do love that it's also going to be net zero carbon aircraft, and they're going to be flying with sustainable aviation fuel. Can fly over. Keith says it can fly only over water. Yeah, because of the sonic booms. I wish it could fly continental, but he also says the cabin on Concorde was very narrow and a bit claustrophobic. If that bothers you, wonder if boom will be different.
he
Yeah,
is a former flight attendant, FYI, so he has a lot of knowledge about. It's always interesting when we're talking about things, and he'll come out with this knowledge. I'm like, this is so fascinating. Tell me more.
yeah. I don't know if I would be able to handle it. Again, it is 3.5 hours, so I might prefer that. But I hate
Cody, you'd
flying
be the
from
cutest flight attendant,
Dallas.
though.
Do what?
You would be the cutest flight attendant. Oh my god.
I well, there was a period of time I had thought about it because before I moved to San Diego, I had a lot of friends working at Disney World, and then around that period of time where I was transitioning, they were starting to transition, and then pretty much everybody I knew that worked at Disney World, they either still do or they're now currently flight attendants. That seems like the route
Yeah,
that everybody took there, and so I
yeah.
was
I
like,
Disney,
oh,
us Disney gays really have a specific path. Usually, there's a certain, I don't know what it is, but we all just kind of gravitate this, and because we excel at it. Like, we're charismatic. We know how to talk to people. We know how to de-escalate and diffuse, and the benefits that are for those jobs are things that appeal to us. And I think I just at some point went, wow, I like really hate people. Fuck all of
maybe
it.
maybe wouldn't be good for you. Um, I said maybe wouldn't be good for you to be stuck on a
Oh, I
plane
would
with
excel at
people.
it. I know I would. And because when I'm working, the switch just flips and I can do it. It's weird. It's
Yeah.
uncomfortable.
Um,
It's really frustrating. I'm like, I can't look mad. I'm like permanently smiling. What's wrong with me?
I I would have done it, and I loved traveling at the time. It's interesting what would have happened, I guess, if I would have done it. I now do not like flying. I think a lot of it has to do with I don't fly as much anymore. There was a period of time I was flying at least once or twice every month, before I left television. And so I loved it. I loved traveling. I loved seeing all my friends. And then now I have a, I just do not like doing it. And I
People
don't
get out of the
know.
habit of it. I mean, I used to drive everywhere all the time. I used to always go, 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 had no problem. I used to live an hour from Chris, I lived in Orlando and he lived out on the island. So I would drive the hour and it was like, oh, you want to come out and hang out for the day? Sure. I get in my car, put in my favorite, I'm going to date myself here, whatever favorite Burn CD I had that week, and drive out there. And it was it was not a traffic filled drive either. It was just me, road, truck, and off I went. And it was always fun. And then hang out for the day, drive back, go to work the next day. And which would be 45 minutes to an hour the other way. And I loved it. Now I'm like, the gym's like 3 miles away, you guys. I'm like, like, what's wrong with me? Yeah.
I think also for me, it's like everything I want is here, and I'm comfortable with my animals, taking care of everything, guarding. I've just gotten really comfortable, and then I have friends like in uh, LA area, and so that you don't have to fly and stuff. I will say with this whole Concord being small aisles, the reason I really actually probably don't like flying is because from Dallas to my hometown, you have to take a small regional jet, and luckily, some of the newer ones are a little bit bigger, but in general, they're very, very, very small, and I do not like it. And also, they don't tend to usually have Wi-Fi, and so I get claustrophobic. I don't know where I'm at, and I just freak out, and I just can't
That is
deal with it
why I
anymore.
was like, just fly to my house and I will take you there. That is actually how this has happened. This was not, oh, wow, Cody's going to come hang out with me. No, it's actually, no, Cody, just fly here because you'll feel better about it. And then I'll just drive you the rest of the way.
Chris says I could deal with flying if it wasn't for the wait. How much is it? Can I just buy one? LOL. Yeah, it's a lot of waiting. Also flying. They have not released any prices yet. He says I should do the safety spiel. Well, I ought to pull that up. This is my time to shine. I don't know it offhand. I know parts of it, I guess. Keith says it was one of the best jobs. So fun. You're not even really aware that you're flying because you're working.
Yeah, I think some of the worst parts of flying, besides like the bloating I get, that makes me feel like I have to pee the entire time, which was incredibly bad because I had a really nasty adventure once, or more so embarrassing adventure, not nasty, but it was awful. Um, but yeah, if you're gonna cry and pee yourself, do it in first class. Um, and then but you're bored and you can't move and you're stuck around everybody else and it's uncomfortable and it's almost I've never been on a flight. I've only been on one flight ever that wasn't packed. And the flight that wasn't packed, I was actually okay. I was actually okay, but every other flight I've ever been on has been so packed I can't move and I've never traveled with more than one person, so I don't know what it's like to travel with a group of people. And I tend not to do well with groups of people because there's always somebody in the group that likes to be an asshole, and everyone's like, oh, that's just them being them. You kind of get used to it. The fuck I am. This is my vacation too. You can piss right off with that shit attitude. Get out of here. You're not going to act like that. No, 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 no. We're adults. It is not cute to act like a wily 15-year-old and like, stop it.
Yeah, I think flying as a passenger versus being a flight attendant, I might have a different perspective because obviously, at least you're not being stuck in a seat next to people who are just sometimes just really gross.
Or just rude. Like,
Yeah.
oh, like when you hear people around, it's really awkward when people, like, you see people being like a jerk to their kids. And it's like, yeah, I get it. The kid's going to be a kid. He's going to scream. He's going to cry. He's bored. But you also knew that was probably going to happen on this 3-hour flight. And I've literally heard parents say, well, we don't have any games for you. And I'm like, why would you bring a kid on a 3-hour flight and not even have so much as a coloring book? Like, geez. Like,
Yeah.
you're telling, like, don't get me wrong. I know you're not bringing on a PlayStation, like, on the flight, but maybe a coloring book.
Something. My goodness. I couldn't. That would just be annoying. I'd be like making sure I had everything possible to keep my kid occupied
We
and
had
not
one Our
screaming.
flight a few years ago to Orlando, the kids were accidentally sitting in the exit row, and they were both children, so they moved them with us, which was
Hmm.
sheer luck because we couldn't get the exit row. But David's so tall, we usually will just try to get the exit row.
Hmm.
And she was like, "Will you guys switch with them?" We're like, and she is like yanking these kids up, like, come on, let's go." I'm like, they're like 8 and 10 maybe, and the little boy who was taller, he hit his head on the thing, and his parents were watching this, and I'm like, there is about to be a fight. And I was like, are they? She didn't ask if they were okay or anything, and I'm like, okay, like I'm like, it's all right. We'll move our stuff. It's fine. Like, yeah, that whatever you want us to do, just stop. Like, please don't manhandle these children. Like, they're children. Like, and they were clearly really stressed and nervous because they were being told what to do by another adult, and their parents are watching this whole thing play out. And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
and
Chris
like,
says the last couple of times I had to fly for work, my coworker got a spare seat between us so we weren't squished together. People were not happy about it though. I always
yeah,
try to get first class.
I've only flown first class one time, and it was only because there was a super cheap upgrade popped up literally while we were on the way to the airport for our first flight from Hawaii to LAX. So we only flew first class from LAX to home, which was about 2 hours, and that was fine. But after that flight to Hawaii, I was like, oh my god, I'm not doing that again. Like, not. I will wait until I can afford and can find a really good first class ticket because it
Yeah,
was
I would.
really painful. And David is so damn tall. He was miserable the entire flight.
Yeah,
And I don't know if y'all have ever flown with your spouse, your partner, your boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever. If they are miserable on a flight, you are miserable on a flight because they don't want to talk, they don't want to interact, they don't want to converse about anything, they don't want to like do anything because they're miserable, they're uncomfortable, they're cramped,
yeah,
they're stressed. And 5 hours is a really long time for somebody who's 6'3" attitude, who's frustrated and tired, to be sitting next to them, and you're not comfortable either. I mean, you are
yeah,
no more comfortable. And I'm usually the one in the middle, and I'm like,
yeah. I if I if
help
I
me.
if I flew to Hawaii, I have to be first class. I would have to be. What the thing is, once you do first class, the pretty much the only thing you want to do if you
So that was the
can.
very last flight we ever took, was the one home from LA
Yeah,
here, and that was first class. And we've not flown since. We've not had a I don't we haven't gone anywhere since. And because a few months 6 months later the pandemic happened and it canceled all our trips anyway. So now I'm like, well, I have no income, no job, so I don't think I'm going to be flying anywhere. And if I do really want to fly, it's not going to be first class. And I'm like, I just want, if I can have the leg room of the exit row, I can usually tolerate it. Because
hmm,
exit row, there's usually only two people there, so it's only just David and I, and that I can tolerate. Like those flights, those are fine. But I just start to hurt, and oh god, I think one time I forgot my headphones. The LAX flight, David left my headphones and my sunglasses on the plane. Yeah,
oh.
I was like,
Well,
it was
maybe
the
Matt,
yeah.
if we fly somewhere, maybe at a certain point we can have first class seats. Who knows?
Oh,
Maybe
that
we'll
would be
have.
great. Like we can record, like we'll record an episode up in the sky, and then
Maybe we get so big, Matt, that we can rent or lease private jet.
I don't think I want to do that. As comfortable as it would be, it just seems like a real asshole thing of us to do to promote, everything that we kind of criticize and talk about here, to turn around and then get a first class jet. Like when the big three automakers were going to request money and they all arrived on their separate private planes. And they were all like, "We need money," and they were all like, "But you arrived here on three separate private jets."
Yeah, that's always when you look at companies' businesses. Always look at that CEO. That's an interesting thing. So,
Right.
Matt, there's some things that had the internet buzzing this week, and one
Uh,
of them is people putting mustard on their watermelon. And well, I'm going to show you this little clip here.
oh, there's always a clip.
Watermelon and yellow mustard, trust me on this, it is so good.
Welcome to Is It Bussin' or Is It Disgusting? Just kidding, I just made that up. Alright, I've been seeing this shit on the internet. Mustard, watermelon. I don't understand. Hold on.
I don't, come on.
Huh?
So she tried it, Matt. So I have something here. I'm
Are
not
you
done
going?
this. I'm gonna do it.
Oh no!
So we have our
Oh
watermelon. I don't know, Matt. I'm only gonna put a little bit because I don't know how this is
no no
gonna
no no no
taste.
no! You can't
No,
put no.
that's
You
quite
gotta
a
put.
bit. That's quite a bit for a bite.
I don't know, y'all.
I don't know. Um,
Go on.
it's different. I wouldn't say it's like bad, but like it's a weird merging of flavors that because so first of all, some people put salt on their watermelon.
I have done that.
So
I do actually.
it's
It does taste pretty good with sprinkles.
it's similar to that kind of thing. Obviously, a mustard taste, but it does have that same kind of merging of flavors. Not bad. I don't think I would like carry around my mustard bottle with my watermelon and be eating it up, but I wouldn't say it's terrible. Clearly, she had a few bites. It's an interesting flavor. You will want to
I
go
like.
back.
I think my favorite was her confusion. Like, what? Oh
Chris
God.
says, first of all, mustard is absolutely gross. So I'm a no off the bat. I love mustard. So one of my favorite cheeses is like a mustard based cheese. It's called Red Dragon. Um, yeah, so I don't know. It's interesting. It's an interesting flavor. When I saw that, I was like, "What? What is
Oh,
this?" And then she tried it.
and Keith also said the best flight. This back on the flights. Best flights were the last row on the DC-9 window seat. That does not have a window, and the engine was there, cramped, noisy, and miserable. Ugh. Ugh. There's
Mm-mm.
another thing. So the thing we're about to talk about, I intentionally did not send this to Cody because I didn't want to trigger us all. But swimmers enjoy the weather and a clear pool high in the air. So swimmers enjoy warm weather in London at the Sky Pool, which is believed to be the world's first transparent pool built between two skyscrapers. What in the final destination is this shit? Stop it. Stop it now. Come on. Like, no. Look at those people on the end. They're all like, I'm safe over here. You think if that thing doesn't fall out of the sky, it won't suck you right out? No, 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 no.
So you
No.
wouldn't get in?
Fuck no. Are you
Did you?
high?
I would get in.
Of course you. Stop. You want me to throw a shark in there too so you can go swimming it and try to feed it too?
Oh my
Oh
god, you Matt
God.
knows I want to swim with baby sharks, leopard sharks. Have you seen that prototype mock-up? I don't know if they're wanting to build it. It's proposed to be built, but where the pool is on top of the skyscraper, like on top. And so somehow, and it's the whole thing. The whole thing is water. Somehow there's some kind of weird airlock chamber where you go up and then you enter the water. And to get out, you get into the water again and get in this like weird airlock chamber, and then you can get out.
Nope. Nope.
So like all four sides are the pool. I
No.
would not do that because
Not
like
not no. Nope. Not on the most comfortable day in hell. Nope.
I actually think that one was proposed for England as well. So I don't know what it is over there that they
They've we have rubbed off on them. We've had a bad influence on them. You know what? Maybe everybody's right. The decadence of the West has gone too far. And like, what the hell?
Would any of y'all get in the pool? Let us know. It'd be
You know
yeah.
who? You know what, Cody? You know why I get upset with you when you say these things? Because I feel like you're one of these, like one video away from being like, I'm a foodie. You know, like I feel like you're gonna say that and be like, I'm gonna, swim here, and it's gonna be like that guy that went, or I think it was the woman that did it. There was like a gold burger, like they made this big burger, and they dipped it in gold, and you eat it, and I'm like, stop it. And then I feel like I'm criticizing it, and you're sitting there going, I'd eat it.
I'm a foodie, Matt.
Yeah, with your mustard and your watermelon.
um And
I like how you're like, I have something here.
I have a prop. An update to a story that we did talk about last week. We were talking about tennis star Naomi Osaka. Now, we talked about her because she was talking about mental health and that she would be not participating in the media interviews before and after, citing mental health reasons at those news conferences. Now, at the time, we talked about how she could be potentially fined for not participating. Well, she pulled out on Sunday from the competition. That was after she was fined $15,000 for, again, not speaking to the media following her first round match on Sunday. I think this is nice and really good of these companies, but Nike, the restaurant group Sweet Greens, as well as some other major sponsors, have come out in support of tennis star Naomi Osaka following her decision to withdraw from the French Open, saying, "Our thoughts are with Naomi. We support her and recognize her courage in sharing her own mental health experience." And that is from Nike. So I think it's a good thing that these companies are standing behind her, despite her pulling out from the tennis championship. I think it's ridiculous that the tennis championship was fighting her and basically pushed her to do this just because they're citing that you're supposed to give press interviews after a match.
I've always disagreed with that because not everybody. Some people, because I mean, it's also a job. Some people want to do their job and go home. Like, yeah, she does have a platform, but there's more ways to use their platform than have everything in their face all the time. You know, they don't. Why? Yeah, some people love it. Some people want to. Some people do it because they have to.
Mm-hmm.
But just because we've always done it that way is not a good reason to continue doing things that way, because that is not the right thing for every single person. And, you know, how many promising careers have been ruined by pressure? Excuse me, I just hiccuped. How many people's careers have been ruined by pressure, and they turn to different things to try to deal with the outside pressure to keep up this whatever. And sometimes you're just not in the mood to deal with it. And it's like, well, sack up and deal with it. Sometimes, yeah, you know, sometimes you're just like, whatever, you know. But she felt so strongly. She is not a child. She is not brand new to the world of sports. She knows exactly what's coming. And she made a conscious decision to say, you know what, I can't that day. She feels so strongly about it, she's willing to take the penalties and the pressure rather than speak to the media at that time.
Yeah.
Okay, so clearly she is feeling something, and rather than people saying, okay, and moving on, it's become this huge deal. But if a guy had done that, it wouldn't have even made the news. I doubt it would have made the news outside of, like, you know, like local sports circles and whatever. But the worldwide criticism that this is garnered is like wild. But I was very encouraged to see how many people have supported her and said, yes, that is the right thing to do. Because you don't, when you're telling somebody, go stand there, they're not just, it's not like here with Cody and I, we're talking to one, a small group, and two, anything that comes back to us, it's probably going to come from the replay. You know, I have time, or Cody has time to sit and measure a response. You're putting this woman who is saying, I'm not okay to sit in this position and do this. Give me a damn minute. And you're not listening to her. On the heels of Mental Health Awareness Month saying, speak up, say something. And we encourage people to speak out. So when she does, people turn around and say, oh, well, you should, because it's your job. I don't know if y'all know this, but mental health issues do not fit in with, like, a schedule. Like, I reposted something yesterday about ADHD. You know, everybody says it's, oh, cute and shiny, but then penalize their friends or the person when they have those symptoms. It doesn't fit in a schedule. It's not cute and funny when I can't control it and everybody's getting annoyed with me. Newsflash, I know you're annoyed with me, but I can't do shit about it. I can do my best to mitigate it and walk away, but then I get accused of having an attitude. I can't even imagine what it'd be like to have, I mean, I've experienced anxiety and depression, but never on a world scale, not to mention having it put out there in front of the entire world for people to turn around and say, oh no, you just deal with it. That is her dealing with it. She is saying, yep, here's my limit. What do you want her to go out there and do? What if somebody asks her, you know, because people ask really invasive questions. What if they tell her, oh, why don't you give us a smile? And she tells you, you know what, go fuck off. And then everybody's really talking. But why? Because she would have easily have said, "Hey, I'm not in the place to sit and do this." Everybody needs a damn minute once in a while, and when you need those minutes, it does not fit into a cute little schedule of, "Oh, hold on, everyone, mental health." Oh, wait, never mind. I read my encouraging post for the day. Whew, thank God 10 people retweeted that. I'm good now. You know?
Yeah.
Fucking listen to yourselves once in a while. But I'm happy for her.
Yeah. Chris says, same with anxiety. People don't know what it's like unless you have it.
Right. I have to say that anxiety at the levels I've experienced it, I don't want to say I've coped with it well, because I've obviously not at times, but being on the meds, that intentionally spiked my anxiety with the help, the intention to help the ADHD symptoms, but spiking the anxiety and depression, which is designed to do. Having it chemically spiked, like intentionally, it put it at levels I couldn't even live with. And I couldn't even. My journal's really dark for a while because I knew it was coming from the meds, but that, like, my body knew it was wrong, and so did my mind. Like, my rational mind knew, hey, this isn't right, but everything else in me is screaming that you're up here 24/7. It made recording nightmarish. It made coming on camera, like, I could almost not deal with it. And I'm introverted, but I'm also pretty extroverted once I'm comfortable. And I could just not look at the camera. I'd have to look at Cody when we talk and not try to, like, not look at the light that tells me that my camera's on. And that's just for like a few months. It's returned now to levels I can deal with, give or take.
Yeah.
But the rebound effects and all the other things that happen with anxiety, like, I know Cody struggles with it. I struggle with it. I know a great deal of our mutuals struggle with it. Chris, I know you struggle with it because you and I talk at length sometimes. And none of that fits on a schedule. And it affects each person differently. And when you try to explain that to people, like, oh my God, yeah, sometimes I get stressed before a big test too. Bitch. Good energy, thank you, but that is not quite.
Mm-hmm. Chris says, I hate when people say, just don't be anxious and get over it. It doesn't work like that.
Right. And the hardest part is, like, dealing with it in a way that tries to make you try to, like, get yourself through it, because there is nobody else. If you need to go to the doctor for it, nobody can make you. It's the hardest part, because you just can't get out of bed some days, but I need to get up, I need to take a shower and eat something, and I will feel better. I will feel better, just 1% better if I get up and do that, and I should email or call the doctor. And it's, people don't understand that your brain is saying, why? Just sleep, just do it, and when you can sleep and disconnect, because those depression naps are just does anybody else go through this with depression naps? like it's I Keith, I actually had a panic attack as a flight attendant while I was working. It's just, yeah, I have had a couple of, well, I've had panic attacks throughout my life. I've had a couple of major ones, and my family, in their effort to do anything to make it better, did nothing and made it a whole bunch worse. And I didn't realize how much worse they made it then, but I know now, and I'm like, why didn't you just get me help? Like, instead of going to my pediatrician and being like, we don't know what's wrong with him. He just like freaks out. We don't know what's wrong with him. And they just said, oh, you might be having seizures, and then use that to tell me I couldn't have my driver's license, which added more pressure to me, because they were trying to say, oh, you're not going to be a good driver, and you're this and you're that, and you're just more criticism rather than how can we build you up to make you stronger.
Yeah.
Thanks. And you learn how to deal with that as you get older, but then it all goes back to, nobody can get you out of bed but you sometimes. And that's the worst part, because that's not a criticism. That's not saying get the fuck out of bed and go do it. I'm saying, I get it. Like, sometimes you just can't. I have pictures. I'm going to show them to you guys probably on the Sunday live. I have them. I kept the screenshots. I went through, like, right before I quit my job, I, like, had spent 3 weeks basically laying in bed. I don't know how David dealt with it. He was just patient and calm, but I basically laid in bed and cried for 3 straight weeks. I had a complete breakdown. I just completely shut down. And work was the final straw that kind of broke my little back. But I didn't hardly eat anything. I didn't want to shower. I didn't do I literally did not. And like I recorded a couple of videos privately during that time because I was trying to make myself talk about it, but I didn't know who to talk to. So I talked to myself. I try to talk about it out loud because I think of when you talk out loud about problems, it's kind of like turning the lights on when you're a kid, when you're scared of the dark. When you turn the lights on, it's just shadows. And even, your rational mind knows a lot of times that I am okay. This is my brain making me feel this way. But it doesn't make it any less real. And sometimes turning the lights on makes it a little better. So that was the only thing I could think to do. Here we go, psych major. So I recorded myself, and seeing myself in the reflection was awful. Like my cheeks were really puffy and swollen, and I wore a hat a couple times. Even when I showered and tried to make myself feel better, it was like, oh, you could definitely tell I'm like dehydrated, I'm tired, I'm frustrated, I'm not myself at all. I'm sad. And I'd recorded videos for school and assignments prior to that. So when I have all of them, I'll show them to you guys, and you can see what I look like the month before, during, and then of course, what I look like now. And it was terrible. I knew I was done. I literally called into work every single day. I had so much PTO built up that I couldn't use because use your PTO and take care of yourself. And what? Good luck getting time off. Anybody that has PTO knows how that goes. So I just called in every single day. And at the end, I still had like a week and a half of PTO left. And this was only March. And I still had tons of PTO for every single day that I used, plus my carryover from the year before. Shutting down is so real. And during that point, I don't think Cody and I had not brought the idea to you yet. That was right before I said, okay, I've got to do something different. And so I applaud the Naomi Osakas of the world who say on a huge stage, I can't. I'm not going to, because for me, I'm coming first. And that's the only thing you can do when you're sitting there trying to make yourself be somebody you don't want to be for everybody else. I don't know. Maybe it's because the human body is like 75% water, but water can't be contained. Not forever. It will break through. And your personality will break through. So no matter what you do, at some point, you're going to break through these barriers that you put up for yourself, or whether it's to make your family happy so they don't see how gay you are, or so you don't want the world, or you don't like this thing about yourself. It will just push through. It no matter what you do, it's coming. And sometimes it's just better. I learned it was a good idea to accept myself and accept that I was fucking miserable, and I had to do something about it. But that didn't come overnight. That didn't happen in 5 minutes. It happened over a span of probably 1 to 2 years, and then a 3-week complete shutdown when I probably should have gone to the doctor, but I didn't know what to say to the doctor. And no doctor I've ever talked to ever fucking listened. So why would I have expected it now? And I feel like from a conversation with a lot of mutuals, that is kind of the impression I get, is that you don't feel like your provider's listening. I don't feel like mine listen, and I used to work in a freaking doctor's office. So it's hard. It's so hard, and it feels like a constant uphill battle. And I don't know about you, Cody, but then some days, when you have those really good days, you're like, I don't know what was wrong with me yesterday, but today it's not roses and sunshine, but I'm fine. What's wrong with me? And I didn't realize how bad it was until I took the Adderall, and it, for a very short time, all my anxiety was gone. Like I felt none. Zero. And I had not felt like that in a really long time. And it was the most freeing feeling I've ever felt in my life. Now, all the other side effects were like devastating, and they hit quick. Like it was a very long week to recover from one dose. But I can understand why people try 1,000 different combos of medications and different providers, and the energy it takes to go back to your doctor and say, this isn't working, we have to try again. This isn't working, we have to change the meds. And advocating for yourself is hard. And especially if you don't have supportive parents or a partner or friends that really understand beyond saying, oh, honey, I'm so sorry. You can talk to me anytime. But when you try to talk to them, they don't fucking listen. You know, trying to talk out your problems isn't necessarily sitting down and saying, I'm having the worst day ever. I need you to listen. Sometimes it's, I'm really excited about this thing because they're trying to channel their energy and their friend isn't listening. And you just don't have it in you to say, bitch, shut up. I'm trying to connect with you. This is me trying to connect with you and alleviate some of my pain. Help me. Like, this is how you can help me. Have a real conversation of substance, you know. But, you know, that's just Matt's tangent on mental health. I feel very strongly about this subject. You know, I may not have chosen to go graduate level with my work, but there is a reason I have that psych degree. Like, I feel very, very strongly about it. I experienced one panic attack in my life while in a mental health ward. Worst experience ever. Johnny, I cannot even imagine how awful that would be. The couple I've had were fortunately not in those environments. I can't even imagine how it's like traumatizing, and it had to have been like re-traumatizing as it's happening.
Keith says panic attacks are terrifying. Jonathan, I agree. And
Your body is simulating death.
Chris says he totally agrees. They are horrible, and I feel like the worst part is wondering when it will actually hit you.
Right. And, you know, so because your body literally thinks it's dying. So your brain is freaking out. Your body's freaking out. I don't know about y'all, but I get all like numb and tingly. And that's like that's the warning sign I get. I get like my lips will get tingly, my fingers, my extremities get tingly, and my legs start to, my legs and thighs will start to shake and get tingly. And then I feel it coming. And I have to just like, okay, breathe through it. And I just try to I try to ground myself with like a rational situation, like I get up, I get my keys, I go start my car. You know, things that are grounded in reality that are like, okay, and to grab onto something and mentally get a foothold. But to a point, I let it just try to run through when it's happened, because I realized that this is just going to happen. And it's happening because I was fighting myself so hard for everything I ever wanted for myself, and not doing it because, oh, I shouldn't do that because what will they think? What will happen there? They don't need to see that. I can do that. I can do this. Yes, 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 yes. Oh my God. Say no sometimes. And I don't know, again, don't know about y'all, but individually, my individual experience was with myself and learning to say no, and learning to say, I can do it differently. Like, you guys have to know that I was stressed as all shit, saying, oh, I'm going to quit my job and write a book, do a podcast on LGBTQ things, and change my career in my 30s to nursing. Yeah, holy shit. And fighting back my anxiety about that made it worse. Fighting back my anxiety of every day logging into some mindless rat race fucking job that I totally hated, that I was okay at, but I stopped caring if I was okay, because what does it matter if you're good at it if it brings you no joy, if it brings you no anything? And the people that are with you don't appreciate you for shit. Like, I don't think I'm the best person in the world, but I know I can make at least my closest friends laugh. And if you don't share any laughs or joy with me, what the fuck are we doing? You know, if everything is just miserable and you can't accomplish anything and you aren't having a good time with it ever, not just a bad day, but every day is just like an existential crisis. Because before I worked from home and I had to drive, oh yeah, I'm right there with you. And especially being a tank of gas away from Mexico, the idea of driving and starting a new life strongly occurred to me daily. And to a point where I was like, you know, we could probably move there and be okay. Yeah, I mean, these were real thoughts happening in my head. I was just done. And there's a reason I moved 1,500 miles away from everybody. Nobody know. My family doesn't know where I live. Like, the ones that have my address, they aren't bothered to send me birthday cards. I promise you that if you cut off those toxic people and tell them no, they'll either adjust or they'll go away, and you'll be much better. How do I know that? Now, that is a good question. How do I know that? Because their shitty attitudes or lack of understanding and compassion for you, you're understanding with them, right? Cody, would you say that? Like, the people that aren't understanding with you, you bend your ass around them constantly, you know? And when Cody during last year had some really stressful moments, he's like, I can't this week. I'm like, that's okay. You know what? That's okay. And you know why? Because in a few weeks when I would have a complete meltdown about something, Cody's like, it's okay, hon. We can record Wednesday. It has never been an issue for one of us to say, I can't record today. He doesn't question me. He says, are you okay? And I'm like, I'm just hungry. You know, and other days I'm like, Cody, are you okay? I'm just having a day and my anxiety is like off the charts today. All right, go cuddle up with Ella and the Hallmark Channel, and babe, I will see you tomorrow. Because that's okay. And, you know, like, I think it's amazing that Naomi Osaka, as she's a fantastic tennis player, is the one to have brought such a powerful conversation to the forefront. And I hope it continues to generate more conversations like this for lots of people, because just in this group, I know most of you quite personally, and I know we all struggle greatly.
Yeah, Keith
Yeah,
says, well, if there's any good to come from anxiety and panic attacks, it's that it sounds like we all suffer to some degree. We are not alone. I mean, I think the case of Naomi Osaka, it is someone who is young, who is a sports star, bringing something to it, the attention. When we actually brought up the whole story about mental health last week, we were bringing up her and Ryan Reynolds. So it could be young people looking up to people that they might put in high esteem and seeing that they also struggle with that despite what levels they're at, you know, a successful actor, a successful sports star, and that they
right.
still
She
deal
is
with
a
these
pro
issues.
athlete. She is in probably peak physical condition. And it goes to show you that this is probably somebody who's incredibly disciplined. I mean, you don't get there by, you know, going for a jog twice a week. You know, she is one of the best. And so she is saying, hey, this is what I need to do for me. And I think, as one of my mutuals, BPD Brian, posted, he goes, in a video, he goes, everybody has mental health, but not everybody has mental illness. And caring for your mental health is just, it's so important. And it gets so, I think the generation above us was not taught either. And we weren't either. We were not really taught. We get the idea, we basically, it was laughed off, like, oh, take a mental health day. But as we learn more and more about it in the last few years, and hopefully going forward, as the conversations are opening, we have learned that, especially during Pride Month, I think this is an incredibly important conversation to have, that when you suppress yourself, even when you have families that are saying, oh, I love that you're gay, that's fine, but they don't want to see it, they don't want to talk about it, they don't want to educate themselves. And if they don't want to, obviously that's on them, but you are not obligated to make them comfortable around you. I also went through that battle. I was like, oh, well, you know, that I'm just me. I just fuck boys. No, I am allowed to be who I want to be. Why? Because they can too. It's on everybody, and they're going to accept it or they'll flitter away. And I promise your connections on Facebook are not that deep. You know, when I deleted Facebook, I have it now because they won't fucking delete my profile, and only like 6 people follow me. I promise, deleting, like, a handful of people ever have texted me. And you find that you are not important to them in the way that you want to be, is because you filled a role in their life. And if the effort required for them to text you was too much, you probably need different friends. But we all have more friends than we think. Just the Twitter community is incredibly supportive. And I think being able to post in an open forum, because we can essentially worldwide look for friends. When you're stuck in a town or city or wherever you grew up, your friend group is relegated to the people that are 3 doors down, and, you know, the person 2 streets over, and you kind of, you know, you just kind of work around each other. Twitter allows you, or Facebook, or whatever you choose, whatever medium you go with, to sort through and find people that you click with. And sometimes, yes, we do a lot of trauma bonding because we all get it. Just in this group, just in the couple of people that have responded, every one of us have experienced severe anxiety, depression, and panic attacks, enough that has interrupted our daily lives, our friendships, sometimes with each other. I mean, it's interrupted Cody and I's working lives before and during the time that we've worked together in the last, 2 years.
Yeah.
And so it has for y'all. But when you talk about it with family members, they stare at you like, oh, well, cool, you feeling better today? But on Twitter, you can post the raw, ugly truth, and that's okay because you're still gonna get a cat video and probably a dick pic, but the heart and soul is there because that is part of it. Your mental health or mental illness, depending on what day it is just as real and raw as your sexuality, your need for sleep, sex, hunger, everything. It's all one package. We have to accept everything from the straight community, and you don't have to shut off parts of you to make yourself palatable for the people around you. I mean, unless you're literally a psychopath, then maybe seek help. But, all of us experience it. And yeah, I get the whole like there's time and place for things, but we literally have full-time hetero community being who they are all the time. You can be too. Just do it. You'll feel better. I mean, like, yeah, it's nerve-wracking at first, but at the same time, is it any more nerve-wracking than repressing a part of yourself or being super afraid you're gonna let like a gay idiom slip? Like, oh girl, LOL. You know what? If they can't laugh at that, move on. Do you even want to be around these people?
Yeah, Chris says, talking about everyone suffers or a lot of people suffer. He says it's true. I have to step back and realize that we are not alone in this. I think that's true. And of course, as we and Matt always say, if you need somebody to talk to, we're here for you to chat with. You can just message us or whatever.
Right, and a lot of people actually do. I have gotten to know so many people just listening to them talk to me. I've learned so much about them, myself, coping mechanisms, different things people do. And no, obviously, neither of us are doctors, but nobody's saying, that your Twitter mutuals are a substitute for doctors. But sometimes just having a friend to just talk to, and don't be afraid to say, I really just need you to listen right at this moment. Be direct. I know I come across sometimes abrasive because I will tell you what I mean. If I don't think you're understanding what I'm trying to tell you, I'll just blatantly say it. And I know it comes across abrasive, but what's happening in my mind, I don't have any room left to like say, oh, well, that's fine. No, I'm telling you how we're going to connect because this is what I can share with you. Say it. Don't be afraid to, living out loud gets said a lot. It gets thrown out a lot during Pride Month. I mean, and a lot of times that does mean, don't be afraid to hold your boyfriend's hand or go on that date with that guy, go to dinner with them in public. Yeah, do it if it's safe for you to do so. But living out loud also means dealing with the issues that come with growing up, not necessarily being able to be who you are. I mean, I was pretty lucky, and even I have my struggles with it because it never occurred to me that I was gay, but after I came out, everybody apparently knew. So I spent all those years trying to live a different life, imagining that I was going to have a different life, one that I didn't even want. And that's sad. Life is beautiful. And for all its faults and gross parts and terrible things that befall us as humans, it's still a beautiful ride. It's just so much better when you're kind of getting to choose your own scenery. Y'all know I'm the first one to say, yeah, make the big move. Move away from your fucking family if there's the problems. There's like 50 freaking states. Pick one and try a new city. You can always go back. If you need it, move home. Like, no, you can go back. You can always go back to where you came from. The only thing stopping you is you. And sometimes that mental block is huge. But try it. Cutting off toxic people it's relieving. It's kind of like going to the dentist when you have a toothache and having to have a pull or something like that. Everyone's more afraid of like the Novocaine injection than they are the actual procedure. And it's like the injection takes like 3 seconds and hurts so much less than your toothache. Most people don't even notice the injection because they're so focused on the fact that their tooth feels like it's like breaking out of their face. It's kind of like that. The anticipation is so much worse than actually taking action on it.
Yeah. Well, that was a great conversation.
Cody's like, this was not planned or scripted.
Well, I think it's a great thing. I mean, that's the thing with the podcast and our lives and different things. We can have an idea of what is planned or going to happen, but then things like this and conversations that develop out of a story that we do, I think are so enlightening. And I think that's one of the great things about the podcast and these lives, that we get to take a story that might develop into something that is happening in our own personal lives, that in this case everyone is
Yeah,
affected in some
everybody experiences
form
it after
or
one, especially.
or fashion. So now it's time to get to the point of the show where we talk about some things we're loving. And so one of the things that I'm loving this week is a TV show. It's a new TV show. I didn't actually even know about it. Gabe is the one who got me onto this show, and we ended up watching the first 2 episodes that have been released. It's a brand new show. It's called Crime Scene Kitchen. And I'm going to play a little clip of it. And this is what it is. The show's about.
I'm not going to sugarcoat it, but I deduce a beating has taken place. And it seems they went about it with great zest. If you sift through the clues, a smart cookie will find a recipe for success.
Can 12 teams walk into a kitchen and figure out what's been baked by the clues left behind?
Piece of pie.
Crime Scene Kitchen, a new competition series.
I hate wordplay.
May 26th on Fox.
So essentially what happens is these teams have to go into this kitchen and they have to look at different clues that have been left in the kitchen, where it's like a grater that has like a piece of carrot in it, or a certain type of liquor that's used in a cake. And there's different clues left. Some clues to throw people off. You know, there might be like a container of raspberries, but did it get used or did it not get used? And so then seeing all these clues, the teams have to decide what was baked in that kitchen. Then they have to in turn bake that. And it's just a really fun show. It's a good twist on the cooking show, because it's like a mix of like, you know, crime scene and then cooking all together in one. But I thought it was so fun, and we started watching it and I couldn't get enough of it, because it's like, I don't know if I would be able to go into a kitchen and determine what was made, you know, because there's so many things. But so far it's been a fun ride. And so if you like cooking shows, this is a fun, really good new twist on the cooking reality type shows that have kind of gotten blah to a point. So this is definitely a fun one. And Joe McHale is really funny on it, because he kind of, you know, reality shows to a point have the same thing. Contestants walking up, lights doing whatever, and music. And he kind of makes fun of the whole process of what it is. So that's one you should check out if you like cooking. Chris says, just finished the new Conjuring movie. Matt, there were a couple of good jump scares, but it was pretty good overall. I saw, Matt, you were asking about that.
Yeah, I was hoping. I love the Conjuring universe overall. Like, I love the feel of it, and James Wan is the director. I don't know if he directed this one, but I like the edge that the movies have. Even if I don't necessarily love the story, I love that edge. It's just like that perfect balance of suspense and possible horror and storytelling. I love it. But I was seeing I read the previews for it, and I read the story behind it, and I'm just not my favorite one. I might see it just out of like being loyal, but yeah. What has me talking? My body hurts. Like, I managed to get on the Stairmaster the other night for 30 minutes and climb 90 floors, and I did it. And I don't feel good about myself for it. No. No, I've been getting stronger and I'm feeling better, which is obviously really important. But trying to think of what really has me talking, and nothing. I really just kind of want to get away for a weekend. I'm feeling like I really need a minute. I officially finished my book, like officially, like it's done. Like as of yesterday, I called it. Like, we're not fixing anything else.
Yeah.
Other than like when you put it through book form, it has to be kind of reformatted a little bit. But no, like, you know, unless like a typo comes up.
Yeah.
That's it. Everything is done.
That's exciting.
So I was going through Amazon, and it probably will be available on Amazon, but I'm also I think I'm gonna just send it to publishers just to see, because if I don't like the offer, I don't have to take it if I even get one. But man, I don't want to deal with it. This is stressful. I'm like, can someone else just do this part for me? Because the other part was hard. Also, because I want to get to the second book. Like, I'm 4,000 or 5,000 words into it. I know what I want to do with it, and I like the tone of the second one so much more than the first one already. Because the first one is just a background. You know, you're just getting into it. And you're exciting. It's exciting, but I'm like, okay.
Well, and I imagine it's one of those things, you know, as you do more and more and write more in this, like with this story in particular, it'll get easier and smoother, and then the whole process of everything just becomes a lot easier than that very first time doing something. Well,
Right.
I am.
That's been the challenge of. That's what it's been mostly having me up at night this week.
Well, that is so exciting that it's done, and now there's just like the one last step processed before everyone can finally read it. Well, we want to thank everybody who has joined us for this show today and enjoyed the conversation that we had with all of you today. If you're watching the replay again, we do this every Friday at 5 o'clock, so you can also join in on the conversation with us, whatever it may be, on that particular show. Of course, on Sunday, we will be doing our live show. Matt, what time are we going to be doing it at?
Well, you said 8 p.m. Pacific time, but that is not like that's 10 p.m. my time. We need to move back, like, because I am way too tired, and I know most of our Eastern and Central people they're going to sleep between 11 and 12. So because they got to get up for Monday mornings, because the world is on the move again, whether we like it or not, that's what's happening. So we have to roll with it too. So right now it's scheduled for 8 p.m. Pacific, which is 10 Central and 11 Eastern. And Cody, what time are you available, Cody?
I'm available whenever you want.
So I think the latest needs to be 9 p.m. Eastern, so that everybody's done by 10. So that would be 9 Eastern, 8 Central, and 6 Pacific for Cody. Sorry, Cody. We do everything else on his schedule. This one he'll unfortunately probably have to just deal with, because the rest of us are dying. Like, I don't know if you guys can tell, but when we're done with the Sundays, I actually really like doing them because they're totally unscripted, and it's usually really fun conversation. But I am so tired by the end of it, and everything's closed, so I can't get food if we don't have dinner timed. So there's nothing available. So I'm sitting there angrily eating a ham sandwich. Like, be eating nuggets right now, y'all.
Keith said, "Thank you. I did an extra 30 minutes of cardio to stay with you. Yay!" Well,
Ow.
I'm glad that you did that.
Ow. Oh my God. It hurts.
Matt's going to hurt himself. Well, we will see all of you on Sunday night for our live show. Of course, new episodes coming out on Tuesday and Thursday. If you missed this past few episodes, be sure and check them out. We talk about sex workers, and we talk about living in the rural or city. I'm not going to say it again. I probably said it wrong. It's my country accent.
Rural.
Just go check that out if you haven't seen it. But again, we'll see you live here on Sunday night. Bye, everybody.
Oh, he's so cute.